tremor rumbled beneath Orin Truebranch's sturdy boots as he skidded to a stop, a gripping the worn map in his hand. The Ruin of Oryndale stood before him, an ancient relic swallowed by time and mystery. Its towering spires, once carved with intricate symbols, twisted as though caught mid-transformation, shifting in silent defiance of the natural order. Mirella landed lightly behind him, her form rippling from a fraction of a second to something else, for a second here and there before settling into her usual mischievous elf-like shape. She smirked. "Looks welcoming," she teased, flipping a loose curl over her shoulder. "You sure you want to go in first, mapmaker?" Orin adjusted his satchel while turning to Elder Bramblethorn, who had come with him. "We came to chart the uncharted. We go together." Elder Bramblethorn leaned heavily on his gnarled staff. The old hermit stroked his mossy beard, eyes glinting like stars hidden in a shadow. "The ruin is alive," he murmured. "It does not simply shift, it chooses." A cold gust of wind spiraled around them, and the entrance yawned open with a deep groan. There were many other gnomes and creatures watching the ruin's doors open. Orin exchanged a look with Mirella before stepping forward. The moment they enter, the world twisted. Walls elongated and corridors bent in impossible angles. Light refracted in a dizzying kaleidoscope of color. Orin pressed a hand against the stone to steady himself, only to jerk back as glowing runes flared beneath his fingers. Runes are growing inscriptions that hold magical power and unlock hidden knowledge. He didn't know he had put his hand on that because it came to life. "Look," Mirella gasped. The runes lifted from the surface, unraveling into shifting words. And these were the words: "The past ways, the future waits. Speak your truth and fate creates." The past ways, the future waits. Speak your truth and fate creates. Elder Bramblethorn muttered under his breath. Repeating the words. "It's a test. It's a test." Orin swallowed hard. "We have to answer." Mirella tilted her head. "The past ways. What does it mean?" The ruin pulsed, and suddenly the air shimmered. Shadows stretched, forming figures. "Memories made manifest," it said. "Memories made manifest." Orin saw himself as a young apprentice, a moment from years ago when he failed to navigate a shifting path, leading his friends into danger. The shame burned into his flesh. Mirella's form flickered too. Her expression darkened as she faced a spectacle of herself. A time when she used her shifting powers to deceive rather than aid. Even Bramblethorn stood motionless. In a chamber of candles and pillars, he was staring at the shape of a forgotten friend, lost to the ever-moving land that he lived in. The wall shifted again, voices whispering, pressing. "Speak your truth, speak your truth, speak your truth," it said. Orin clenched his fists. "I feared falling again," he admitted, a sort of a rough voice. The fear kept me from taking risks, he said, clenching his fist even tighter. Mirella exhaled, looking down. I used to think trickery was the same as cleverness, but they aren't. Oh, I feel sorry, but they're not. Cleverness is not the same as trickery. Bramblethorn murmured, I held on to regret longer than wisdom. Perhaps it's time to let go. Let go my regret. Perhaps it is time, he said. The ruins hummed. The shifting slowed, then solidified into a single arched hallway heading forward. They had passed the first trial, and they all smiled, but nervous as they moved forward. Deeper they ventured, the very air buzzing with unseen forces. Time bent strangely here. Orin saw glimpses of possible futures in the walls. Yes, futures in the walls. One where he stood alone, and another where Mirella had vanished. Large clocks depicting past and future time appeared, and another figure where a looming figure cloaked in mist watched them from beyond a shifting veil. Then came the final chamber. A vast circular room stretched before them, with many pillars encircling a pedestal in the center, holding a single ancient artifact, an Hourstone, swirling with light and shadows. The moment Orin stepped toward it, a deep growl echoed through the chamber. From the darkness emerged an ugly guardian, unlike any other. A creature of pure shifting stone, its form rearranging with every breath. It had no fixed shape, only a glowing core in its center, pulsating with power. The past and the future are threads, it said in a voice like grinding rock, but only the worthy may weave them. Having said that, it aggressively lunged forwards. Orin barely dodged as stone claws scraped the air where he had stood. Mirella transformed first into a warrior and quickly changed mid-leap into a shifting, swift golden fox, darting between the creatures, changing limits, and finally she transformed herself into a bird, keeping out of reach of the monster guardian. Bramblethorn, hiding behind a pillar, raised his staff, murmuring a spell that sent vines withering up from the cracked floor, seeking to ensnarl the guardian's shifting core. Orin, Mirella shouted, shifting back. The Hourstone, it's connected to this thing. Orin's mind raced about what they had learned today. The ruins tested those who entered. They had faced their pasts. They had glimpsed their futures. Now they had to act in the present. He sprinted forward, sliding beneath the guardian's massive arm as it reformed mid-swing. His fingers wrapped around the Hourstone, and in an instant, time froze. Everything came to a standstill. The guardian's ever-shifting form stilled. The ruins around them ceased their endless movement. The very air held its breath. Then The world pulsed once, twice, before freezing into normal clarity. The creature bowed its head and stepped aside, fading into the stone like they'd never seen before. Orin turned the Hourstone over in his hands, feeling the weight of time itself within. Bramblethorn let out a deep sigh. A relic of the old world. Mirella had turned herself into a gnome and peered at it. So what now? Orin looked back at the shifting doorway they had entered from, which now stood perfectly still. And then he noticed something else. A single mark was etched into the stone, a sigil he had never seen before. It pulsed faintly, very faintly, as if watching them. Perhaps you don't know what a sigil is. It is a symbol or mark that holds magical, mystical, and symbolic power. Orin's grip tightened on the Hourstone. What if this ruin wasn't shifting on its own, he said. He turned to Bramblethorn, voice edged with unease. What if something or someone was guiding it? The ruins, silent once more, seemed to hum with an answer yet to come. As they stepped beyond its threshold, the wind carried a whisper of secrets yet unrevealed. With the Hourstone secured, they began their journey home. Each step weighted with newfound understanding and in deep thought. But even as they left the ruins of Oryndale behind, Orin couldn't shake the feeling that their adventure was far from over. Somewhere beyond the horizon, the shifting realm awaited, ready to test them once again. Until next time, the next story, keep well and care for one another.